back at it again, and we have another one with Charlie Kirk. Let's see if this other person makes a good argument. I hope so. Let's dive in.
Hi, I'm a UVM student. I was talking to you before. I'm sure you noticed that. But I'm going to try to keep this civil.
Heckling, yes.
Yeah. But I'm just going to hope you respond in a way that's not so just conservative talking point and more of a conversation way. Hopefully. Maybe.
So she heckled him while he was up there and expects him to be civil while she asks her questions, even though she wasn't civil while he was answering other people's questions. Whew. The double standard here. But hey, I'm sure he will be civil, which is the right thing to do. Let's have a conversation. All right, let's do it. We've been through this before.
Sure.
Okay. So before there was a question about like Native American communities and treaties and stuff like that. And you were talking about how historically Native Americans have been kind of like screwed over by the US government and stuff like that. Don't you think that that history will impact how Native Americans live today and make it more difficult to succeed in America? Don't you think that would influence that?
Well, I suppose a question I'll ask back at you. We've made tremendous accommodations, such as sovereignty of Native American land, an entire department of the federal government dedicated just solely to that. Do you recognize that there's been great efforts to try to accommodate that?
I recognize those efforts, but obviously they haven't worked.
So why haven't they worked?
Because it's either not enough or the way that we're doing it is like we need to treat it more as an equity thing instead of just saying, oh, it's a culture, like instead of blaming it on people's like individual working and like change it societally and help them in a way that actually matters.
So you do know that there's universal health care at Native American reservations, right?
Yeah, but it's not very good because they don't have access to...
Because it's socialistic.
No. They have universal health care in plenty of European countries and it works just fine. The flaws of the Native American...
So I'm curious, how did Vermont's experiment in universal health care go?
I'm not from Vermont, so I don't know these things.
I didn't hear your response. Say that again.
I'm not from Vermont, so I don't know these things. I moved here like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I still can't hear what you said. Say it one more time. You're wearing a mask. It's kind of hard. Can you say it again?
I moved here like 2 months ago. I'm not from Vermont, so I don't know these things.
Right. So Vermont tried single payer. They had to abolish it. It was a total disaster. So look, I think the best way to help Native
I didn't know that.
American communities is to help all people through empowerment and education. Instead, we tried a heavy-handed government approach of intervention of the Bureau of Native American Affairs, of universal health care. And if you want to go see a socialist dystopia, go to a Native American reservation. Maybe you have. Maybe you worked on Native American reservations before. I've been to plenty. They're depressing. They're government addicted, unfortunately, in more ways than one. They're very, very corrupt. And this is something I want to ask you. Would you self-identify as a socialist? Is that fair to say? Okay. Ish.
I'm not a liberal. I'm more social. I'm
okay.
Socialist and liberal are different words, and I think conservatives confuse that a lot. They are completely different things. Okay.
No, we don't. So I'm just curious, as someone who would say you're a socialist, what would be a country you think works well that's a socialist country?
There are no socialist countries right now.
There are no has there ever been a socialist country?
Truly socialist? No.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. All right. You know, and listen, I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to this, but based on, you know, the little bit of research that I've done and videos that we've checked out, there have been, and people have found out it doesn't work. It's not great. Venezuela.
Okay.
Oh man.
So your worldview is on something that's never existed and currently doesn't exist?
Is it a bad thing to be like pro change? Like people who lived in like only monarchies wanted democracy and stuff like that. That wasn't like a bad thing.
Okay, so just so we're clear, yeah, the type of change you're advocating is horrifying. But so it's never existed, doesn't, and so I would say Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, formerly Vietnam, the Soviet Union, those are not and were not socialist countries?
The disastrous effects in those countries were directly contributed by U.S. intervention. There were multiple coups done by the CIA in those countries.
Hold on, wait. Time out. So we intervened in Venezuela, Cuba, we intervened in North Korea? Where? When? I mean, maybe it happened. Listen, somebody, can inform your boy if it did actually happen. Let me know. But as far as I know, no, not the case.
Let's take, hold on, guys, hold on. I'm just curious. And so how on earth did Fidel Castro taking over Cuba have anything to do with U.S. intervention?
There was plenty of sanctions. Economically, Cuba was completely cut off. They tried to assassinate him plenty of times. There were so many things.
The fact that they're
US
communist.
Yeah.
We had what to do with that?
We didn't have anything to do with that, but after a communist regime took over, they had
let me ask you another. So first of all, Zimbabwe was not communist?
Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara.
Say that again?
Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso. Before he was assassinated, he was actually
How about Mugabe? He wasn't a communist? How about Joseph Stalin? He wasn't a communist?
He called himself
How
a
about
communist.
Mao Zedong? He wasn't a communist?
Yeah.
Pol Pot?
Plenty of terrible people have called themselves plenty of different names. North Korea,
so you get to be the judge.
Wow. Yeah. He's about to say it.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. See? And that's the delusional mentality that I want to stay far away from. That is the type of delusional mentality that I just can't stand. You can't reason with some folks. You give examples and then her response is, "Oh, well, that's just what they labeled themselves." So she's the arbiter of truth. She gets to say what socialist is and if they actually were or not. Goodness gracious, when it benefits her argument, she'll take it. When it doesn't, she makes an excuse for it. And it's just let's just call a spade a spade. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. That's life. You're going to be wrong. But people like this refuse to be wrong. There's no possible way that their way of thinking could be wrong. There's no possible way. It just can't happen. I'm just goodness gracious. There's just no talking to these folks, man. I mean, it's sad, but people like that, I think we had a conversation the other day in a video on, getting people to see the truth and what percentage of people I thought, would convert when presented with facts, statistics, and video evidence of certain things. And I know I talked about the black community, obviously, because, I'm black. So, I feel like I would know a little bit more about that. Well, to some people, I'm not considered black anymore, but that's another discussion for another day. But I think in the totality of things across all races, people like that are part of, I don't know, what do you guys think as far as percentages go? When people are presented with the facts and video evidence, hey, these are bad guys. I can show you videos of things that they've said. I said it would be an 80-20 split as far as the black community goes. But honestly, I think that split might convert to, across the board, across all races. It'd be an 80-20 split. 20% of the people would say, you know what? Actually, you're right. I've been misled this entire time. And I feel like the other 80% would be like this young lady here who's just in total denial. But what do y'all think? What do y'all think that split would be? I think the 80-20, maybe 75-25. We might get a bigger jump. I don't know. Y'all talk to me, please.
They're not democratic.
Pot?
Plenty of terrible people have called themselves plenty of different names.
So you get to be the judge. Got it. Okay.
They're not democratic.
Right. So I just want to make sure we complete the point. You believe in something that
North Korea calls himself democratic? Is that true? Let me know in the comment section.
Doesn't exist, has never existed, and even though the people that call themselves the things that you believe, you say they weren't really that, which is the most important point. Socialism is always judged against an impossible utopia, and they judge markets against a reality. And here's the truth of the matter. That markets, which you enjoy comfortably in Western society, is the most proven affluent creating machine in human history. And I would just challenge you to do one thing. Please stop believing in a utopian nightmare and start looking at things around you that are good, that are true, that are beautiful, that work, and are consistent with the natural law. You'll be a much happier person if you do that. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
Wow. He touched on a very interesting point there at the end. He said you'll be a much happier person. And I can't remember if we checked that out in a video or if I read the statistic on my own. I think it might have come up in a video, but there was a statistic that came out that I guess was kind of examining people on the left and determined that people on the left that are like that are some of the most depressed people that live amongst us. They're the most sad and depressed people. And that's sad in and of itself. Like, they're legitimately making themselves unhappy. And this is another great question that I would have loved to have asked her as well. If your idea of, utopia is so great, why isn't it being done? Because she said it's not being implemented right now anywhere in the world. So why isn't that being done? If it's so great, why? Nowhere? Absolutely nowhere. Interessante. Maybe we should ship all of these socialist folks to I don't know, Alaska or Hawaii, right? And we let them kind of do their own thing. They'll be like their own small little country. And we'll see how it works out for them. I think that would be a great experiment. Obviously, we have to make sure it's done right. You don't want to just throw people to the wolves or into the fire. But I mean, if all of these folks truly believe in their ideas and their ideals, then all right, well, we'll give you a space, a safe space, as they would call it, to go and try it out. If it works well, good for you. If it doesn't, well, then now you know. And the argument is over. We can stop having this whole back and forth. Oh, it'll be a great idea. It'll be fantastic. Okay. All right. Give it a shot. But of course, we'd never be allowed to do that because they would get exposed. The truth would come out very, very quickly. That does not work. But anyway, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. What do you guys think about the idea that I proposed there? I just came up with that off the top of my head. I didn't really think too deeply about it. So I'm sure there was some complications with that would come up while you guys are thinking about it that I didn't think of. All right. But let me know. Good idea, bad idea, possibly could work. Let me know. Talk to me. All right. Peace and love. I'm out.